What's going on, everybody? I'm about a week and a half late, but a few days early as far as my predictions for Super Bowl 54. So I figured real quick try and get this video out here and make it as brief and as sweet as possible and as short for you. So, where can I start? I want to start with a couple of stats before I go into a real breakdown of the game. So here we go. Stat number one: Andy Reid has the seventh most regular season wins by a coach in NFL history with 207. I want to say it is. I looked at the stat briefly, and for some reason the number 207 comes to mind. I want to say that's what it is. But on the other hand, he's still trying to win his first ever Super Bowl, and the last time he was in a Super Bowl was when he was the coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. Super Bowl 39, they lost to the Patriots, and Andy Reid hasn't been in the Super Bowl since. But in my opinion, a Kansas City Chiefs win this Sunday would erase any doubt about his Hall of Fame qualifications and secure his place as one of the best coaches in NFL history. But in order to do that, he'll need to beat perhaps the one NFL coach who also rivals him as a offensive schemer and play caller, and that's Kyle Shanahan. So, can Andy Reid get the job done going into the Super Bowl? That's the $1,000,000 question that no one seems to have the answer to. But we'll get into that. Stat number two: this is the second Super Bowl since Super Bowl VI where a team that led in rushing yards is going up against a team that led in passing yards. It's the Kansas City Chiefs with 4,498 passing yards versus the 49ers 2,305 rushing yards. So, in case of rushing yards versus passing yards, which team will get the upper hand? That also remains to be seen. This is also the first Super Bowl where teams facing each other employ the same color as their primary choice, and that's red in this case. So there will be plenty of red and white going on the field. So if you're able to tell the teams apart aside from looking at the last names, the number, and the design on their helmet, then you'll be able to tell who's who. But that was sarcasm on my part. But anyway, stat number four: of all the teams that won Super Bowls in Miami, each team won by a score of between 3 to 23 points. Take Super Bowl 44, for example, in 2010. My New Orleans Saints defeated the Indianapolis Colts 31-17. They beat them by 14. Super Bowl 41 in 2007, my Chicago Bears lost to the Indianapolis Colts 29-17 by a score of 12. Super Bowl 33, I believe it was. That was in 1999. The Denver Broncos defeated the Atlanta Falcons by a score of 15. They won 34-19. Super Bowl 29 in 1995, the San Diego Chargers fell to the San Francisco 49ers 49-26. That's, I want to say, by a score of 23 if my math is right. Speaking of 23, Super Bowl 23. In 1989, the San Francisco 49ers again, they're in the Super Bowl. They beat the Cincinnati Bengals 20-16, so they won by 4. Super Bowl 13 involving the Pittsburgh Steelers and my Dallas Cowboys. Yeah, Super Bowl 13 in 1979. Pittsburgh defeated the Cowboys 35-31. And in Super Bowl 10, which took place in 1976, it was Dallas and Pittsburgh again. Both of those Super Bowls, Pittsburgh defeated Dallas by a score of 4. Pittsburgh won 21-17. Super Bowl V back in 1971, the Dallas Cowboys lost to the Baltimore Colts, 16-13. Super Bowl III back in 1969, you had the Baltimore Colts fall to the New York Jets. They lost by a score of 9, 16-7. And at Super Bowl II was the Oakland Raiders against the Green Bay Packers back in 1968. Green Bay defeated Oakland by a score of 19. They won 33-14. So it was a rather interesting stat that I found, but I didn't think anything of that until after I looked up Super Bowl. I think I Googled Super Bowl results in Miami for Super Bowl Miami records or something like that is what I typed in, and those were the results I got. So anyway, I'm gonna go into a couple of big time matchups to look up here. So if I don't mean to try and hype up both of these, a couple of these matchups like a future a dream match like what you would see at WrestleMania or something like that. So don't think I'm going to try and hype it up that much. But I think they're well worth keeping an eye out for. So number one, this one I think definitely will keep everybody's interest. Patrick Mahomes Jr. versus Nick Bosa. And in my opinion, if you want star power in a Super Bowl, this is one of the key matchups. If not the number one matchup, has got to be in your top three because Patrick Mahomes won the NFL MVP in 2018 in his first season as a starter, and there was no fall off this year, except for an injury that kept him out for a couple of games, but that didn't seem to affect him much apparently. As we all know, Patrick Mahomes is a big play guy. He's got a big arm, and he likes to let plays develop down the field. And a perfect example of that was in the game against the Tennessee Titans, when the Chiefs won 35-24. Patrick Mahomes held on to the ball in order to make things happen, and I want to say it was Pro Football Focus or one of those outlets. They posted a stat. He got sacked twice. He got hit once, and there were 5 hurries. But he also threw for 294 yards and 3 touchdowns. So his mindset generally pays off, especially when the pressure is on. But being in the Super Bowl, we'll see. We'll see how much it actually pays off in the end. But Nick Bosa, on the other hand, he's an exceptional talent. He always seems to be breathing down the necks of quarterbacks, and after registering 9 sacks in the regular season, he dropped quarterbacks 3 times in his first 2 postseason games. So he's going to be someone to look out for, especially if you're a 49ers fan. I mean, you're looking for defense. You're looking at everyone else on the roster. You're going to keep an eye out on Nick Bosa along with everybody else. But I'll get to another one of those matchups later. But if Nick Bosa is able to bring Patrick Mahomes Jr. down whenever he gets him in his sights and the opportunity, then the 49ers defense should have a good day with it. But that's just the beginning, though. Matchup number 2, Tyreek Hill versus K'Waun Williams. There might not be a better nickelback in the NFL than K'Waun Williams, in my opinion. I don't really know much about the guy, but on the other hand, there might not be a more speedier and more explosive playmaker in the NFL right now than Tyreek Hill. So that can pay dividends for Kansas City. You have an explosive wide receiver and an explosive nickelback. So K'Waun Williams is the 49ers' most underrated player, and in my opinion, he proved many of the doubters wrong, especially going into the regular season. I'd only seen a little bit of him during a preseason game I had seen on the NFL Network, and the little bit that I saw of him in the preseason and what I saw in the NFC Championship game, he really he really blew my mind, that's for sure. But he's as good as it gets when it comes to combinations of zone coverage skills and man coverage. He blitzes off the slot and especially his tackling ability for a guy who's listed at only 5'9.5" and 190 pounds. He's powerful, he's steady, and he is fast. But Tyreek Hill, on the other hand, he works out of the slot for a sizable portion of games. So K'Waun Williams will be seeing plenty of him in the Super Bowl, most definitely. Tyreek caught 58 passes for 860 yards, 7 touchdowns, he caught 58 passes for 860 yards and 7 touchdowns in 12 games. Excuse me. And he's a big play waiting to happen. And it's only going to be a matter of time what that play is going to be, when it's going to happen, if it happens. And it's going to be K'Waun Williams' job to prevent it. So if K'Waun Williams is able to shut down Tyreek Hill temporarily or for the vast majority of the game, then someone's doing their job, and that would be him. Matchup number 3. Travis Kelce versus it's a strong safety. I keep forgetting his name, exactly how you pronounce it. And forgive me if I mispronounce it. I want to say it's pronounced Jaquiski, Jaquiski. I want to say it's pronounced Jaquiski, like JUH-KWA-ski, like a ski slope or something. But anyway, Travis Kelce and George Kittle pretty much have the same thing in common, aside from being in the Super Bowl and playing tight end and being exceptionally well at their craft. The only difference is Travis Kelce's been doing it longer, and he posted better raw receiving stats this year. He was a second-team All-Pro selection behind George Kittle, though, but Travis Kelce had 97 receptions for 1,229 yards and 5 touchdowns. So the responsibility for covering Travis Kelce won't just fall onto one person on the 49ers defense. But on the other hand, Jaquiski Tartt better be ready to hold up his end of the deal, getting ready to go into the Super Bowl. If I were him, I'd be watching game footage of Travis Kelce and other strong safeties covering him. So in order to get some additional practice in. But on the other hand, Jaquiski Tartt's the 49ers' 8th run defender in the box, and he also has the coverage skills to match up on tight ends. So he, if I remember correctly, I want to say he was beaten on a 42-yard passing play from Aaron Rodgers to Jimmy Graham in the NFC Championship game. And it's big plays like this, for example, that the 49ers need to avoid in order to potentially let the Super Bowl slip away from them, especially with an offense like Kansas City's, how explosive it is. But he was in his second game back from missing more than a month with fractured ribs, so his all-around play in the Sunshine State is definitely going to be vital to the 49ers' success. So another potential matchup to look out for. That would be it. Absolutely. Going back to Patrick Mahomes, though, he's really, in my opinion, he lit the world on fire this year. He, especially the eye-opening performance of being able to pull off a comeback win against the Titans and the Texans during the postseason. That in itself, along with several other things, I probably won't be able to have time to get into. Those were enough to convince me that this is going to be the Chiefs' year. They can finally cap off their season with a Super Bowl appearance for the first time in 50 years and maybe bring the Lombardi home, which would be great. But after bringing home the Lamar Hunt Trophy, bringing the Lombardi Trophy from South Florida by standing toe-to-toe with the NFL's top pass defense and beating them soundly sounds rather nice. especially in my opinion. You won the Lamar Hunt Trophy. Now you need to go for the Lombardi. You can get two. You can take home 2 trophies in the same season. That's good enough. But on the other hand, with Aaron Rodgers, for example, in the NFC Championship game, he couldn't solve the 49ers until it was too late. But he also didn't have the type of weapons at his disposal that Patrick Mahomes Jr. does. Sammy Watkins, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, look for them to put pressure on San Francisco on the secondary, ultimately making the difference in Miami. Ratchet up the pressure, try and psych out the secondary, and go for the game-winning drive or drives. That's what I would do. But on the other hand, San Francisco owns the NFL's top passing defense, and they have to face an attack that's more formidable than anything that they've seen to date. Now, for some of the pros and cons going into this game, I'm going to start with the Chiefs first. Kansas City's, they have reason to believe that they'll win in every game that they're quarterbacked by Patrick Mahomes. I mean, as a starter, they're 27-8 with him, and the 8 losses were only by a total of 36 points. And Patrick Mahomes, as a starter, has never lost a game by more than 7. So the Chiefs can win if they rely on Patrick Mahomes to carry them, because he hasn't let them down yet. And if they play to many of his strengths, they'll claim their first Lombardi in 50 years, which I think would be nice. And with Patrick Mahomes, he's been the Chiefs' leading rusher in both playoff games this year. I mean, there's going to be plenty of time to celebrate and project his passing performance, but his ability to convert first downs and touchdowns via the run has made the Chiefs' offense nearly unstoppable. I mean, there's a reason why he's the fourth. There's a reason why, in my opinion, he's the 4th quarterback in NFL history to rush for at least 50 or more yards in consecutive playoff games. But on the other hand, on the flip side for the Chiefs, for a team with as many great offensive players, skilled players as the Chiefs do, they struggle at times in the red zone. I think San Francisco might be able to capitalize on that. Because they scored a touchdown on only, I think, 54.5% of their trips inside the opponent's 20-yard line. During the regular season. And a failure to finish drives in the Super Bowl would most likely prove costly. If San Francisco can capitalize on that, they'll be able to. They might be able to cap off a win and win the Lombardi Trophy, but that leads to another question. Does the Chiefs' defense have one more big game in them? For me, the answer would be yes, because at this point, it's fair to assume that both the Chiefs' offense and Patrick Mahomes Jr. are capable of rather amazing things. I mean, even against the fearsome defense of the 49ers, but you could also ask. Does Steve Spagnuolo's group of guys on the defense, that held Derrick Henry, I want to say, to 69 yards in the AFC Championship game, can they find an answer to a multidimensional run game in the 49ers? I believe they can, but if you remember in the NFC Championship game, San Francisco tore apart Green Bay on the ground game. And if the Chiefs are to deliver Andy Reid his first ever Super Bowl win, they're going to need to find a way to keep the 49ers from controlling the game on the ground and force Jimmy G to try and beat them with his arm. I don't think it's going to be easy to do, but it'll be well worth the wait, in my opinion. Can he do it? I think he can, but. One other thing about Patrick Mahomes Jr., though, he's a game changer, man. I mean, his ability to make second reaction plays is the reason why I'm going with the Chiefs over the 49ers. That's another reason. Granted, the Niners' defense is scary good, but there's no player, group, or force in the NFL right now more dangerous than Patrick Mahomes. I mean, he can't be stopped. But there really is only one way on how to slow him down. How to slow down number 15. Pressure him. And even that isn't always enough, but it happens to be a massive strength of the 49ers, and if that's your best shot, do it when you can. And I think I don't think the vast majority of the game is going to be on the. I don't think the vast majority of the game is going to be on the ground. But on the other hand, I don't think you're going to see a whole bunch of touchdowns being thrown either. But that being said, they've been remarkably consistent all season, and there's no reason to think that they'll change now because. I mean, especially with the 49ers, they beat two pretty good NFC playoff teams, and the league's best defensive front is going to really prove to be a challenge for Patrick Mahomes Jr. It's going to be interesting to see how he reacts to the pressure, and the best player in the game will be under center for the Chiefs, and the 49ers have the better offensive line and defense, so at least according to what some of the stats are saying, which maybe gives the 49ers a slight edge. But, overall, I don't, I'm not really all that sure about that. Because, some are saying you have a better defense. Defense wins championships. Others are saying you have a better offense. So offense is going to help you out. But I think it all depends on who you ask. You never know. So for the 49ers, I'm going to go on to them real quick. For the 49ers, they've been in just about every type of game imaginable this year. They've won everything from a nail biter to a blowout. And they've never been on the wrong end of a blowout, and they were able to pull off the nail biter when the time came, but even when they weren't at the top of their game, the 49ers find a way to be in it until the final seconds. So, with an explosive offense, a suffocating defense, and solid special teams, the 49ers play complementary football. At least in my opinion, as well as any other team or teams in the NFL, and they're unafraid of the big stage. Despite the relative youth on their roster, they're not afraid of the big lights like this. I think the 49ers, if they can, a way they can pull off the win is if they continue to do what they've done most of the year. Control the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. So, that allows pass rush to create havoc for Patrick Mahomes Jr. and the running game, which will be led by Raheem Mostert. But unless, what's his name? My train of thought. Tevin Coleman. He was released by Atlanta, and not released by Atlanta. He was released by Atlanta. I'm thinking of someone else who was traded. Tevin Coleman ended up going to San Francisco in free agency, I want to say. But anyway, it's going to be up to Raheem Mostert to dictate the tempo and set up explosive pass plays for Jimmy Garoppolo, but it might sound kind of odd to classify the 49ers running back in this category after an outrageous performance in the NFC Championship game. I mean, if you really think about it, the 49ers in the Super Bowl for two reasons. A dominant defensive front and an NFC best running game. So unless Tevin Coleman can return from what looked like a serious arm injury and provide a veteran presence, which I believe he can and I believe he will, Raheem Mostert's going to take the lead role in the area of the game that's critically important to the success of the 49ers. On the flip side, there simply aren't very many weaknesses on the 49ers, but there are a few matchups that have been exploited at times. So, offenses that have the ability to attack the side of the field opposite of cornerback Richard Sherman, they've been a challenge at times, and teams with a mobile quarterback have given the defense a run for their money too. Excuse me. Patrick Mahomes, for example, he had 53 rushing yards in each of his postseason games this year. 53 rushing yards in each of his postseason games. So, it'll be difficult, but not impossible. Is the 49ers defense good enough to stop or at least limit Patrick Mahomes Jr.? I brought this up to a friend of mine recently, and he said he really wasn't all that sure, but I think it's possible. I'm not saying they can't, but I'm not saying they're going to either. So, San Francisco took away Dalvin Cook in the Vikings run game of the divisional round, and they neutralized Aaron Rodgers in the Green Bay Packers passing game in the NFC Championship. So, San Francisco's defense is loaded up front with first-round picks playing at a high level, and Nick Bosa, I talked about him earlier. Nick Bosa just might be he might be one of the few edge rushers in the NFL who can actually run him down from either come at him via blitz or get him from either the side or behind when he scrambles. And if you're able to apply the pressure and Nick Bosa is able to tackle him or either tackle him or sack him, then that's a sign that you're doing your job. But can the San Francisco 49ers front continue their smothering ways against the 2018 MVP and the blistering speed of the Chiefs offense? It'll be the toughest test to date, in my opinion. So, going into this game overall, guys, I just don't know. I mean, it's gonna be a toss up. Who's gonna win? Who's gonna win and why? I've looked at 10 different articles from 10 different places, and I've gotten 10 different things as far as predictions. Who's gonna win and why, point spreads, the whole 9 yards. But that being said, now comes the last part of the video, which I think is going to be the toughest. What do you think the final score is going to be, and what do you have the Chiefs or the 49ers as a favorite or underdog as? Last week, Monday, at least the last I looked, Kansas City was a favorite at 1.5. One place said San Francisco was a favorite at 3.5. Another place said San Francisco at 2. Another one said Kansas City at 2. One place said Kansas City at 5.5. So, I really don't know what to do as far as the point spread. But I'm going to go with the first one that I looked at, and I think Kansas City winning by 3 points or more. If you have the Kansas City Chiefs as a favorite at 2.5, I think that's a safe bet. So, Kansas City Chiefs, I predict they not only cover the 2.5, I also predict the final score is I'm going to say there's going to be high scoring. It's going to be high scoring. It's going to be a lot of fun. And especially if you're a Kansas City Chiefs fan, I'm pulling for you. So I'm going to say Kansas City 39. It might be a little high, but I'm taking a stab in the dark here. Kansas City 39, San Francisco 31. So now if this was the days if we had, let's say, Len Dawson or Joe Montana at quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs and Tony Gonzalez, for example, at tight end, and either Priest Holmes or Marcus Allen at running back for Kansas City, that'd be another story. And for San Francisco also, if you had the likes of Terrell Owens, for example, at wide receiver, or anyone else from San Francisco, I can't think of their names right now because I've had 100,000 other things on my mind. But if they can, granted it's not the days of Terrell Owens or Tony Gonzalez or Len Dawson or any of them, but that's another story for another time. So Let me know what you guys think. I apologize if this video didn't come out all that great, but post a comment, give me your thoughts, subscribe, and I will, if you haven't already, please subscribe, post a comment, and I'll just talk to you guys when I talk to you. So, may the best team win on Super Bowl Sunday, and that's really about it. Take it easy.